back to my channel. So this is not part 2 of my last video, if you saw that, because I had so many technical difficulties. First, like half the video just didn't record. I don't know what happened. I had all these like 3-second clips, which is really weird because I use this little remote to turn the camera on and off when I'm filming. So I don't know, I can see in the monitor there's a little red dot, so I know this is filming right now. So I just had all these random little clips, and then when it did start filming and I had a big chunk, it was in the middle of a sentence and it didn't make any sense because it hadn't recorded for like 20 minutes. So I was like, okay, I can't even edit that into something that's gonna make any sense. Then about a week ago, I was just like, okay, I have some time. It was like 3 in the morning. I sat down, I started recording. The camera was way back farther from where it is right now. And I have contacts in, but I couldn't see very clearly. And so I was just like, everything is fine. And I started recording, and then I went to edit the video, and it was like everything was blurry. I'm like, really? I don't know why it didn't autofocus, but everything was just blurry. I'm like, oh my God. So I've had a really difficult time just trying to make a video. Despite, you know, just not having time in general to make it, when I have taken the time, something has gone wrong. So anyway, the whole point, I'm finally making a video. Yay! So things are really good with the baby. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like to know the labor story, because that was something I did record twice and just technical difficulties both times. So I kind of feel like I've said it a million times already, and I don't feel like speaking about the same thing over and over again, even though you guys haven't heard it. But if you're interested, I will make a video on that. I just kind of feel like at this point it's been so long that it's like, what's the point? So part 3 was going to be what happened between coming home and the first month of my son's life, and now he's 2 months, almost 3 months. I don't know how women do it when they post a video every week. I mean, I get like some of them. I'm a tiny channel. I think I have a little over 100 subscribers, which half of you aren't my friends. Thank you, welcome. But like at least 50 people are my friends, which is cool because, you know, you guys are watching my videos, so yay. It's kind of neat to be able to keep in contact and have a video instead of just Facebook messages. But I forgot what I was saying. This is baby brain. Oh my God. Okay, how women, I don't know how women do this. Like, I'm a small channel, so I do everything myself. I don't have money to pay somebody to like edit my videos or whatever. But even then, the slightly bigger channels, when they have somebody else doing their videos, like, how do they have time to make a video? I don't have time. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, so let's get into what's been going on the last 2 months. So the last 2 months, I'll try to recap them quickly. I'm not good at that, I babble a lot. So something that the pediatrician has said to us several times, which I think is hilarious, every single time we go there, she asks, so who's helping you? And I'm like, it's me and him. My husband has gone to all the appointments with me. But when we go, she's just like, you know, so what's going on with this and that at home? And I'm just like, who do you think is gonna help? Like, I don't know who she thinks is at home helping us. But she doesn't know us either. If you haven't watched all my other videos yet, I moved to Georgia in October of 2018, and we don't have any family here. My husband is from Canada originally. He's from Montreal, so his family is like French Canadian, and he's the only one who lives here in the US. My family lives in different states, so we're kind of here in Georgia alone. And I mean, we're adults, it's like we can handle it, but it's just so funny that she keeps asking. It's like, who do you, like, we just have like some fairy godmothers who's gonna bibbidi bobbidi boo things for us. It's like, it's just us. So the first 2 weeks were really rough because I'm taking care of older babies, like 6-month-old babies and older, but never a newborn. So some of the stuff I'm like, I don't know what to do. My husband's like, but you're a woman and you've changed a diaper. It's like, it's not the same thing. Older babies require slightly less care than newer babies, and like, I didn't have to take care of that baby 24/7. It was like maybe 12 hours. So it's been a challenge, but it hasn't been bad. Just the first 2 weeks though, we were exhausted because I was breastfeeding, and the nurses at the hospital were like, you have to feed him every 2 hours, and you start from the time that you start feeding him. That's when you start counting, and not when you finish. Well, Nicola would eat for an hour, and it's like, so I feed him for an hour, then I burp him and change him. Hopefully that's quick, never is. And then I have to feed him like 20 minutes later because all of that stuff takes almost 2 hours to do. I'm like, what? And then they're like, so sleep when the baby sleeps. It's like, well, if I'm feeding him every 2 hours, when is he gonna sleep? When he eats for an hour. It was kind of crazy. So that was really difficult. And then he had really bad acid reflux, like so bad that at the 2-week appointment, the doctor was just like, here's some Enfamil formula. I'm gonna put a picture up here of the kind it is. It's a pink one, but I don't remember the name of it because I didn't think to look at it before I made the video. But she's like, use this formula and that'll help with the reflux because it has rice in the formula. So it helps keep it down, and then it just helps coat the throat better and just helps prevent the acid reflux. And that has been so amazing because he actually sleeps now, and he's not just crying because his throat is on fire. The unfortunate part of that is I had to stop breastfeeding him, and she was like, you can just pump and save it, which I did for a while. I was pumping and saving, and we have a bunch of little bags in the freezer. And during the daytime, I still tried to breastfeed him because the skin to skin contact and just actual breastfeeding rather than pumping helps you keep producing milk. But he was just crying so much that during the day, it got to the point where we're like, okay, I'm just gonna give him formula and I'm gonna keep pumping. And the amount of milk I was making just kept going down and down and down. And I would pump several times a day. And I ended up with, like, I'm not kidding, 1 ounce the entire 24-hour day. And my husband he was like, it was at the point where he was just like, is it worth it? And when I was getting like 3-4 ounces in a day, I'm like, yeah, it's worth it, because you can combine all of in one day, you can combine all the milk that you pump. But it was at the point where 1 ounce, it was just like, yeah, this isn't worth it. So the first time he asked, I was like, yes, 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 you know, it's important. And I kept pumping. And then like 2 weeks later, my production I felt like every day just got less and less. So I had to stop pumping. But in a weird way, it's actually made our lives a little easier because he doesn't sleep more because he's eating formula. He still requires formula like every 3 hours. He eats a lot at night. He doesn't wake up though. He sleeps the whole night, but he still needs to be changed, burped, and fed. So how my husband and I are working everything is that I stay up all night long with the baby, and then around 6 in the morning when he wakes up, he takes the baby, and then I go to sleep. So at least one of us is getting a whole night of sleep at one time without being interrupted, and we're tired, but we're not exhausted. So those first couple weeks when it was both of us, and you know, like the first 2 weeks, I barely left the bedroom because I was sitting, we have the old people beds that like you can sit them up, not they're old, was adjustable base beds. So I would sit it up, and then I had pillows on the side so I could put the baby there and feed him on one side, and then I move it to the other side and feed him on the other side. And that's really just what I did all day long. And my husband would bring food for me. So he was like feeding me, and I was feeding the baby, and then in between that he would take the baby and change and burp him, and then I would kind of pass out in the bed, and then he would wake me up and be like, feed the baby again. And it was like, we weren't leaving that room, and it was just like, okay, this is how it's going to be for how many months? It's hard. I get why women are just like, I'm not breastfeeding. It is very, very hard, and I think that's why the doctor kept asking us, well, who's helping you? I think if we had some family helping us, it wouldn't have been so hard, and because we were both just so exhausted at that point. And a lot of men probably just like, the woman can do it. And so the women are like crazy and stuff. And he was nice enough to not just forced me to do everything. But then he was doing so much more than I felt I was doing. But he was just like, well, you're feeding the baby. And so he was like making all the food and stuff. And every couple days I'm like, have I showered? When was the last time I showered? You know, and it's like, all right, the baby's asleep. I'm gonna go take a shower. And then it's like, you're just a baby milk machine. And it was weird. It was really weird. But, you know, we got through it. And so I'm gonna stop babbling about that. But unfortunately, yeah, we're just giving him formula now. But he doesn't have the reflux. Like he just kept going and then that, or he was just screaming, crying because his throat was like on fire. And then he would cry and it would be raspy sounding. And I just felt so bad for him. So he doesn't do that now. He cries sometimes, usually because he's hungry. During the day, he might cry occasionally because he peed, and he usually just kicks his feet a lot when he's peed. And if I ignore it because I'm feeding him, and sometimes he just kicks his feet when he's eating, I'm like, oh, he didn't pee. He'll just keep kicking, and then he'll kind of move his head, and then he'll start crying. And I'm like, oh, and then I check and I'm like, yeah, you peed, okay. And then I change him and he stops crying. So, he just doesn't cry that much, which is great because a lot of kids, you know, they have this thing called, the hospital made us watch a video. It was called purple crying, and the pediatrician's like, what's purple crying? I'm like, when they just cry for no reason. And she's like, oh, colic? I was like, yeah, I don't know why the hospital's video called it purple crying. That was weird, but he doesn't really do that. I'm so grateful. He's a very sweet little baby. He's smiling now. He can't roll over yet because he's only 11 weeks old. But when I like go to change his diaper, or when I see him my morning, which is usually in the afternoon, like when I finally get up in the afternoon and I see him for the first time, he'll see me and he smiles and he's got a little dimple and he's like, oh, and it's so cute. And then, like, sometimes when I'm changing him, he's laying there and he looks up at me and smiles, and I'm like, hi, and then he smiles bigger, and I'm like, oh, he's just a sweet little baby. I'm gonna cry because he's just so cute and sweet. Yeah, so my husband and I have both been vaccinated, so we're venturing out a little more. We're still trying to avoid people because, like, today I had to go to Target and there was so many people. Like, the majority of the people in there, it was really busy too. I was a little freaked out. They weren't wearing masks, and I'm like, Corona is not over. Like, we're still in the pandemic, and people here are just like, I don't need to wear a mask anymore. I'm like, ah. But yeah. And then even standing in line, I was like 6 feet away from somebody, and the people in the line next to me were like super close to each other, and then they saw me stand way back, and a couple people took steps back, and I think they forgot that they're supposed to not crowd together. Yeah. So when we go out with him, we take him to the park a lot. We're really fortunate where we live. In California, there's a ton of parks, but there's not a lot of trees in most of the parks unless you're in like a foresty area. But here we have all these really nice parks with like really tall trees, so they make a lot of shade on the paths to walk, but the paths are also paved, so we can put him in the stroller and push him on a nice flat surface. Because like most of the paths that when we would go like hiking or whatever in California, they were dirt, and it rains so much here, so it'd just be muddy all the time. And there's just all these parks that are like within 10 to 20 minutes of where we live that are like paved and shady, so we can take him out a lot. And sometimes he sleeps when we take him, but sometimes he's awake, and we're like pointing out like tons of squirrels, or we'll see deer a lot, and it's like, look, there's a deer, and I know he doesn't know what that is. It's just a blob to him, but it's just fun to take him to the park and walk around. And you know, we're just happy to get out of the house too. About 2 weeks ago we went out, and it was pretty cloudy, but usually when it rains, it doesn't rain all day long. So it had rained in the morning, and it was like, it's cloudy, but it was real nice and warm, so we're like, yeah, let's go. We just really wanted to get out of the house. And we got back and to where the car was, and there's this little covered picnic area, and we stopped there because it was really hot. And my husband was like, I'm sweaty, I just want to sit here and cool off a little bit before we get in the car. I'm like, all right. And then like 2 seconds later, right after we got under the covering, it just started pouring, and I was like, wow. And I had an umbrella with me in my purse, And I was like, I'm so glad I have this umbrella. So we waited a little bit, about 15 minutes, and it didn't let up. And so I'm like, here, you know, take the stroller part and I'll hold the baby in the carrier. I'm like, put that in the back because that takes the longest. I'm like, come back for him, take him. And then there's another umbrella in the car. I'm like, you know, give that to me and then I'll run to the car and get it. So we did that. And because it was, if we didn't, we would have just all been soaking wet and the baby would not have been happy. And then the other day we took him to the pool. There's like a covered area where our pool is, and it's a community pool, not just our house. And it throws a lot of shade on part of the pool. So we put him in a little hat and like a swimming shirt and stuff. But having that little shady area while it's still really hot, you're in the shade, so that was nice. And my husband had him on his chest and he was kind of floating and he was like swimming around. I'm like, you look like a seahorse. It was really cute. And he liked the water, and it was nice and warm in the water. And he smiled the whole time, and he's just a happy little baby. So I'm really lucky. So I've been doing some like self-care things. Like after my husband got his second shot, maybe a week or so later, I went to the nail salon, which I haven't done in over a year, because I don't feel comfortable sitting in a room where there's like a ton of other people sitting there the whole time. Even though everybody was wearing masks, when I would walk by, because it's right next to the grocery store, I would see everybody in there with a mask. I was just like, it's an enclosed space and you're in there for way too long. So I just didn't take the risk. But the other day I was at the grocery store and I saw there was nobody in there besides the women who work there. And then when I was done at the grocery store, I went in and there was just like one customer, and she was like way far away from me. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna get a pedicure. My feet needed it. And that was nice. And then like I made an appointment for the dermatologist. I had some weird skin things going on, and I actually kind of thought I had skin cancer. There was just, like on my ear right here, I got like a blister, and it didn't go away for a very long time. Like I actually still have kind of like a little bit of a scab, and I was just like, oh my God, that might be skin cancer, because my grandma actually had skin cancer and they cut a part of her ear off, and I never really noticed anything about it, but she just kept getting this little like blister and it didn't go away. And I was like, great, that's happening to me. And I was pregnant, so I was just like, I'm gonna ignore it for a while. And now that, you know, the baby's okay, it's like, all right, get all my stuff taken care of. And the doctor was like, no, it's not skin cancer, some kind of dermatitis. I can't remember what she called it. It was a very long name. It doesn't have a short version. And then some other places on my skin where I have these like scaly patches, like they're kind of dry, flaky patches, and it's not dry skin. She's like, that's another kind of dermatitis. And I'm like, oh, she gave me ointments. So now I'm pickling myself in ointments because I'm at that age. I never thought this weird stuff had happened to me so young, because like all kinds of weird stuff happened to my grandma. She was like, you know, in her late 60s, early 70s when all this stuff started happening, and I'm like 40 something. I'm like, really? But I've been taking care of those things, so it's kind of nice. I'm so happy like I finally got a nice pedicure, because I like scrape my feet with the little rock thing, but it never looks as good when I do it myself. That's like the one thing I like to do to spoil myself. So I'm like, yay, I finally got it done, and I'm happy. And I keep looking at my toes. I'm like, they're so cute. I know it's weird. I haven't done my nails though, just because with you know, cleaning bottles and changing the baby so much and washing my hands, it's not gonna last. I'm just gonna break my nails and stuff, so it's not really worth it right now. Maybe later when he's a little older and less washing is going on. But yeah, so I've been doing some like, you know, going to appointments for myself, making sure everything's okay. Like 6 weeks after the baby was born, I went to an appointment and, you know, made sure that everything healed, and my doctor was like, yeah, you're good. I still get a little sore when I walk sometimes, like if I walk a lot. And I mean, that was like 6 weeks ago almost, and she was like, you know, that's normal, things are healing, and it's kind of like, it doesn't look bruised, but it's kind of like sore like when you get a bruise. And she's like, you know, that's gonna take a little while to heal, and it's not as bad now as it was like maybe 2 weeks ago. So that's nice, because, you know, we want to go out and walk and stuff, and I want to exercise. I lost weight already, but it would be nice to lose a little more. And it's kind of hard to do that when you can't exercise. So that's it for this video. I think I've babbled enough. And if you have questions about the baby or like anything, if you guys want to know about my labor story, let me know in the comments. And if that gets enough, like, yeah, I want to hear it, I'll make a video on that. And if you have any comments, I will address those comments in the next video. I'm gonna try to make a video every 2 weeks, and then kick it up to once a week in a little bit. But yeah, hopefully I don't have as many issues, because I am back in the room where I used to record. I don't have all my equipment set up, but I do have a place where I have the main thing, which is the camera and some lighting. I have a ring light, and then there's a fan up here with some light. So I have a lot of light on me right now. It's not as good as before with all my stuff and the equipment that I never had to move, but my husband's still working on the flooring and upstairs. But this room is done, and this is going to be the guest room instead of the recording room that it was before. But for now, I'm still recording in here, which is nice. I have a set place, and the baby can't hear me, but I can see him on the monitor, and you know, the equipment's not in the way, so my husband's not like, oh, I need you to move that or whatever. So hopefully my video quality is better again, because for a while there it was a little sketchy. And, yeah, so I forgot why I was telling you guys about this. I totally forgot. I know I was ending the video, and this is what I do. I babble, and then I edit out so much. I record like an hour, and I edit it down to about 10-15 minutes most of the time. So I'm like, well, they don't care about that. So I am going to edit this video, but I'll probably leave that little last part in because it's kind of funny. But yeah, so hopefully I can get some more videos and I stop having issues with the technical stuff, because my camera will be in here, and you know, it won't be so hard. Like, I won't have issues with lighting and stuff. The camera's a good length from where I'm sitting and everything. And yeah, it's like 2 a.m. now, so I can make the videos at around this time when he's asleep. But I'm gonna go feed him in a little bit. In about 20 minutes I need to feed him again, because he'll be like, I'm hungry. So yeah, and then when I'm done with that, I'll edit the video and upload it sometime tomorrow, and with clips of him being cute, because I do have a couple. Hopefully I can get some of him actually smiling. But I'm gonna stop babbling now and let you guys go, and I will try to get a video up within a week or two. So see you guys, bye.